Hi guys, welcome to my first video. Today we're going to be reading The Guardians of Ga'Hoole, The Capture by Kathryn and Lasky. So this is book 1, and we're going to be reading chapter 1. I might read more chapters in one video in the future, but for now, only one, okay? So here we go. A Nest Remembered. Noctis, can you spare a little more down, darling? I think our third little one is about to arrive. The egg is beginning to crack. Oh, and by the way, if I'm reading too fast, I'm sorry. It's just for this chapter because I think it's a little longer than most. And my video can't be over 15 minutes or I can't upload it to YouTube. Anyway, let's go. Not again, sighed Clud. What do you mean, Clud, not again? Don't you want another little brother? His father said. There was an edge to his voice. Or sister? His mother sighed, the soft, low soft whistle barn owls sometimes used. I'd like a sister, Soren peeped up. You just hatched out 2 weeks ago, Clud turned to Soren, his younger brother. What do you know about sisters? Maybe, Soren thought to himself, they would be better than brothers. Clud seemed to have resented him since the moment he had first hatched. You really wouldn't want them arriving just when you're about to begin branching, Clud said slowly. Branching was the first step, literally, towards flight. The young owlets would begin by hopping from branch to branch and flapping their wings. Now, Clud, his father admonished. Don't be impatient. There will be time for branching. Remember, you won't have your flight feathers for at least another month or more. Soren was about to ask what a month was when he heard a crack. The owl family all seemed to freeze. To any other forest creature, the sound would have been imperceptible, but barn owls were blessed with extraordinary hearing. It's coming, Soren's mother gasped. I'm so excited. She sighed again and looked rapturously, I'm not sure how to say that. I think I'm saying it right, I'm not sure. At the pure white egg as it rocked back and forth. A tiny hole appeared from it and protruded a small spur. It's Egg Tooth by Gloats, Soren's father exclaimed. So Gloats is like an order of owls. Okay, the book goes into more detail with that later, so I'll just leave it for now. Mine was bigger, wasn't it, Dad? Clud shoved Soren aside for a better look, but Soren crept back up under his father's wing. Oh, I don't know, son, but isn't it a pretty glistening little point? Always gives me a thrill. Such a tiny little thing pecking its way into the big wide world. Ah, bless my gizzard, the wonder of it all. It did indeed seem a wonder. Soren stared at the hole that now began to split into 2 or 3 cracks. The egg shuddered slightly, and the cracks grew longer and wider. He had done this himself just 2 weeks ago. This was exciting. What happened to my egg tooth, Mum? It dropped off, stupid, Clud said. Oh, Soren said quietly. His parents were so absorbed in the hatching that they didn't reprimand Clud for his rudeness. Where's Miss P? Miss P, his mother said urgently. Right here, ma'am. Miss Pothiver, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, the old blind snake who had been with the owl family for years and years, slithered into the hollow. Blind snakes, born without eyes, served as nest maids and were kept by many owls to make sure the nests were clean and free of maggots or various insects that found their way into the hollows. Miss P, no maggots or vermin in that corner where Noctis put in fresh down. Of course not, ma'am. Now how many broods of owlets have I been through with you? Oh, sorry, Miss P. How could I have ever doubted you? I'm always nervous at the hatching. Each one is just like the first time. I never get used to it. Don't you apologize, ma'am. You think any other birds would care 2 whits if their nest was clean? The stories I've heard about seagulls. Oh my goodness, well I won't even go into it. Blind snakes prided themselves on working for owls, whom they considered the noblest of birds. Meticulous, the blind snakes had great disdain for other birds that they felt were less clean due to their unfortunate digestive processes, which caused them to eliminate only sloppy wet droppings instead of nice neat bundles. The pellets that owls yarped or spit up although owls did digest the soft parts of their food in a manner similar to other birds, and indeed passed it in a liquid form, for some reason they were never associated with these lesser digestive processes. All the fern bones and tiny teeth of their prey, like mice, that could not be digested in the ordinary way, were pressed into little pellets just the shape and size of the owl's gizzard. Several hours after eating, the owls would yerp them up. Wet poopers is how many nest-made snakes referred to other birds. Of course, Miss Plethora was much too proper to use such coarse language. "Mum," Soren gasped, "look at that!" The nest suddenly seemed to reverberate with a huge cracking sound. Again, only huge to the ear slits of barn owls. Now the egg split. A pale, slimy blob plopped out. "It's a girl!" A long shriek call streamed from his mother's throat. It was a shriek of pure happiness. "Adorable," Soren's mother sighed. "Enchanting," said Soren's father. Claude yawned and Soren stared at the dumbfounded at the wet, naked thing with its huge, bulging eyes sealed tightly shut. "What's wrong with her head, Mum?" Soren asked. "Nothing, dear. Chicks just have very large heads. It takes a while for their bodies to catch up. Not to mention their brains," Claude muttered. "So they can't hold their heads up right away," said his mother. "You were the same way." "What shall we call the little dear?" Soren's father asked. "Eglantine," Soren's mother replied immediately. "I have always wanted a little eglantine." "Ooh, Mum, I love that name," Soren said. He softly repeated the name. Then he tipped towards the little pulsing mass of white. "Eglantine," he whispered softly, and he thought he saw one little sealed eye open just a slit, and a tiny voice seemed to say, "Hi." Soren loved his little sister immediately. 1 second, Eglantine had been this quivering little wet blob, and then minutes later, it seemed as if she had turned into a fluffy white ball of down. She grew stronger quickly, or so it appeared to Soren. His parents assured him that he too had done exactly the same. That evening, it was time for her first insect ceremony. Her eyes were fully open, and she was bawling with hunger. Eglantine could hardly make it through her father's welcome to Tyto speech. "Little Eglantine, welcome to the Forest of Tyto, Forest of the Barn Owls, or Tyto Alba, as we are more formally known. Once upon a time, long, long ago, we did indeed live in barns, but now we and other Tyto cousins live in this forest kingdom known as Tyto. We are rare indeed, and we are perhaps the smallest of all the owl kingdoms, although in truth it has been a long time since we had a king. Someday when you grow up, when you enter your 2nd year, you too will fly out from this hollow and find out one of your own in which to live with a mate." This was the part of the speech that amazed and disturbed Soren. He could not imagine growing up and having a nest of his own. How could he be separated from his parents? And yet there was this urge to fly, even now with his stubby little wings that lacked even the smallest sign of true flight feathers. "And now," Soren's father continued, "it is time for your first insect ceremony." He turned to Soren's mother. "Marilla, my dear, can you bring forward the cricket?" Soren's mother stepped up. In her beak she held one of the summer's last crickets. "Eat up, young un. Head first. Yes, down the beak. Yes, always head first. That's the proper way, be it cricket, mouse, or vole." Sighed Soren's father as he watched his daughter swallow the cricket. "Dizzy in the gizzy, ain't it so?" Claude blinked and yawned. Sometimes his parents really embarrassed him, especially his dad with his stupid jokes. "Wit of the wood," muttered Claude. That dawn, after the owls had settled down, Soren was still so excited by his little sister's arrival that he could not sleep. His parents had retired to the ledge above him, where they slept, but he could hear their voices threading through the dim morning light that filtered through the hollow. "Oh, Noctis, it is very strange. Another owlet disappeared?" "Yes, my dear, I'm afraid so." "How many is that now in the last few days?" 15 missing, I believe. That is more than can be accounted for by raccoons." "Yes," Noctis replied grimly, "and there is something else. What? His wife replied in a lower, wavering hoot. Eggs. Eggs? Eggs have disappeared. Eggs from my nest? Yes, I'm afraid so. No, Marilla Alba gasped. I have never heard of such a thing. It's unspeakable. I thought I must tell you in case we are blessed with another brood. Oh, great, Close, her mother gasped. Soren's eyes blinked wide. He had never heard his mother swear before. But we so seldom leave the nest during broody times. Whoever it is must watch us. She paused. Watch us constantly. Whoever it is can fly or climb, Dr. Salva said darkly. Soren felt a sense of dread seep into the hollow. How thankful he was that Eglantine had not been snatched while just an egg. He vowed he would never leave her alone. Okay, guys, I'm either going to stop the video now or read a lot faster. So if I'm reading too fast for you, just slow down the video and you should be fine. I just really want to be able to upload this video. So let's go. It seemed to Soren that as soon as Eglantine ate her first insect, she never stopped eating. His mother and father assured him that he had been the same. And you still are, Soren. And it's almost time for your first fur on meat ceremony. That was what life was like those first few weeks in the nest. One ceremony after another. Each, it seemed, in some way or another, led to the truly biggest, perhaps the most solemn yet joyous moment in a young owl's life. First flight. Fur, whispered Soren. He couldn't quite imagine what it was like, what it would feel like slipping down his throat. His mother always stripped off all the fur from the meat and then tore out the bones before offering the little tidbits of fresh mouse or squirrel to Soren. Cled was almost ready for his first bone ceremony, when he would be allowed to eat the whole bit, as Soren's father said. And it was just before first bones that a young owl began branching, and just after that it would begin its first real flight under the watchful eyes of its parents. Hop, hop, that's it, Cled. Now up with the wings just as you begin the hop to the next branch. And remember, you're just branching now, no flying. And even after your flight lessons, no flying by yourself until Mom and I say so. Yes, Da, Cled said in a bored voice. Then he muttered, How many times have I heard this lecture? Soren had heard it many times, too, even though he was nowhere near branching. The worst thing a young owl could do was try to fly before it was ready. And of course, young owls usually did this when their parents were out hunting. It was so tempting to try one's newly fledged wings, but it would most likely end in a disastrous crash, leaving the little owlet nestless, perhaps badly injured, and on the ground exposed to dangerous predators. The lecture was brief this time, and the branching lesson resumed. Okay, guys, I am really sorry. We're almost there, but I'm going to have to cut it short because we're 13 minutes now and there's no way I can fit another 4 pages in 2 minutes. I don't think so. So I'm just going to pause it for now and I'll follow up on Chapter 1, Part 2. Alright, sorry for the inconvenience. See you in the next video.